Hey everybody, this is Chad at GURUmicro. Today I want to talk about the iPad 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th gen and the known issues that they have with the charging port. The charging port tends to fail on these, and being that the iPad is a sealed device, it can make it really expensive to repair the charging port, and those ports and all of those generations, also it's soldered in. So it's not like a component replacement that you can just buy the charging port, put it in there, and it clicks onto a connector. It has to be micro soldered, so complicates the repair, makes it really expensive, and with these older iPads, sometimes it just doesn't make sense economically. But I want to give you guys a couple options and ideas to try that actually might get your iPad to take a charge again. So one of the first things I want to show you is this particular charging cube. You can see here it says Power Quick Charge 3.0. I think I got this off eBay. And right here, it has an LED, which when I plug it in, you'll see that will display the voltage and the current, okay, which is the amps that the device that's plugged into it is pulling. So you'll see this here in a minute, but you can find these on eBay, and I'm not going to put a link because the links always change, but it basically, if you go to eBay, maybe even Amazon, just type in Quick Charge 3.0 or QC 3.0. It should come up, but really what you want to see is where it says that there's an LED that displays the voltage here, okay? And if it displays the voltage, it's probably going to display the current too. Even if you don't have one of these charging cubes handy, you can use a standard charging cube, and I'm going to show you a little trick that may actually get the iPad to start to take a charge just using the standard Apple cube. Right here I have a 5th gen iPad. You can see I have it plugged in down here and you can see it's showing 5.12 bouncing back and forth on the voltage, but it's not displaying any amperage change, okay? When something starts to draw off of these chargers, oh, there it goes, 1.1 amp. So that's not normal for an iPad. An iPad will normally draw 1.7 to 2.3 range typically. So you can see it's not pulling. The iPad is basically not taking a charge. And you can see right here, there is no lightning bolt icon here showing that the iPad is taking a charge. So another thing that happens sometimes on this this gen, this is a 5th gen. 5th and 6th are both common to have this particular issue. So if you look right here, we have no charging happening here. So this iPad, if it's totally dead and I plug it in, it will charge to like 1% and then turn on, but then it will not charge any further than that. So if your iPad symptoms match that, this will likely be a solution that works for you. Sometimes what happens on these charging ports, they get loose, and then one of the pins will break free on the solder. And when that happens, sometimes you'll have this situation where it's plugged in but it's just not taking a charge, or you'll see on the screen, you'll see an error message that says this device cannot be recognized. That's another common symptom when this solution may work for you. Very simple here. So we can see, again, we're showing the 1.1 amps. That's not enough to actually kick this thing to go. Now watch. What I'm going to do here is just totally power the iPad off, okay? So while it's plugged in, so you want to have it plugged in first, and you can do this with your regular, okay, so as that's powering down, take a look at what happens right here. So as this powers down, we still see the 5.2, look, 1.7 amps now is being drawn, okay? So once the device is powered down, suddenly we've got an increase in amp current draw, and that is actually charging the battery, okay? So this is one potential solution. This does not work all the time, but in certain instances, I've seen it numerous times to where I've had iPads that won't charge. People bring them in and they need the charging port replaced. However, if it's powered off, you will see the amp draw increase and it will actually charge the iPad. Mostly with 5th and 6th gens. I see this with 5th and 6th gens most. And I'm going to show you another alternative here for 7th, 8th, and 9th gens. This may work on those as well in some circumstances, but I'm going to show you a better alternative if you have a 7th, 8th, or 9th gen. Okay, so right here I have a 8th gen, I believe, might be a 7th. Obviously, the LCD is removed from this, and it has been, this actually has a bad board in it. But really, all I want to show you on 7th, 8th, and 9th gen, you guys will notice you have these 3 little dots. I'm trying to get the camera to focus here. Let's see. This is called the smart connector, okay? This is something Apple started to add with the 7th gen. 7th, 8th, and 9th all have this smart connector. The original purpose for the smart connector here on the 7th, 8th, and 9th gen was to provide power to a Bluetooth keyboard. So you guys have probably seen the Bluetooth keyboards cases that connect to the 7th, 8th, and 9th gens. And then it was initially designed, its initial purpose was to provide power to the keyboard. However, it can be used to send charge back to the battery. This solution I'm about to show you will resolve the charging problem on 7th, 8th, and 9th gens regardless of the amp hole or anything like that I showed you for the 5th and 6th gens. And to do it, you need one of these, okay? This is made by Logitech. It's called a LogiBase, all right? And if you notice, it's got the 3 pins right there that actually connect to the smart connector. So when you put your iPad on there, it has magnets. It literally clicks in place. It is super strong. So this is made really as a stand, was its original intention, but it actually works really well now as these iPads have started to get older and we're having all of these charging port problems. It's a good alternative way to charge the device. Just so you can see here, if you guys want to try and look these up, you can find these on eBay too. They don't make it anymore, unfortunately, so they don't last long on eBay. I looked on eBay right now, there's like 4 or 5 of them, and to be honest, I have a feeling once this video is posted and more people are aware of this as an option, because the failed ports are so common on these 7th, 8th, and 9th gens, that they'll probably become harder to find. But right now you can get them for between around 75 bucks on average, some cheaper, up to 100 bucks, you know, for some that are in better condition. But bottom line, you need this smart connector charging, and this thing just uses a standard lightning cable. So you'll just take your cable that you would normally plug into the bottom of your iPad, and instead you're gonna plug it into this, and then you'll set your iPad in the cradle, and it will charge, okay? Not as fast, it does charge a little slower, but it does work as an alternative when the charging port has failed. Hopefully this has helped a few of you that have charging port issues. Again, with the 5th and 6th gen in particular, plugging it into the charging cube and then powering it down will sometimes get it to take a charge. And usually when the times that'll work, it's when you either plug in the charger and you get an error saying device not recognized, or it does not charge past 1%. Another thing is when you do plug in the 5th or 6th gen, and make sure you leave it sit. It could take up to 10 hours depending on how long it's been since you've charged it, because it's literally trickle charging is what's happening. But it will get the device to turn on. Once the device turns on, then power it down while it's still plugged in, and the current will increase, and then it will charge more rapidly, and it will go beyond the 1%. And then with the 7th, 8th, and 9th gens that have the smart connector, find a LogiBase online, and you're using a totally different method to charge it. Works really well. Also, you have a stand that way. They're not cheap. They're kind of in limited supply, but if you can find one and you have stuff on your iPad that you want to try and recover and you just need to get it charged up, or you can actually use it to just charge it in the evenings or whatever, that's a good alternative for that. Saves the cost to do a charging port, at least in my area, is between 150 to 200 bucks, and these devices are worth like between 100 to 150, maybe 175, depending on the gigs. So, you know, sometimes this is a more economical solution instead of trying to just get it repaired somewhere. Other thing I'll mention, if you have Reddit, there are a couple groups. One is iPhone Help, and I think the other is iPhone Repair. And if you take a look at those groups, there are a lot of people there that own shops like myself, and they're more than willing to answer questions and help people out that have problems with their Apple devices. Thanks for watching.